My name is David Carr. I am the creator of something that I call the WordPress for Toastmasters project. A lot of people know it as Toastmost. Toastmost.org is the most convenient way to get access to it. And the origins of this project is, no radioactive spiders involved, but a number of years ago, I became an officer of my club. We were having some challenges with membership at the time and wanted to be able to market ourselves more effectively. And I inherited the Free Toast Host site that we had at the time and said, I think we could do better than this. I think we could do better with this on WordPress. Do we have to use Free Toast Host? And I asked around a little bit and said, no, it's offered to you for free by Toastmasters International. But if you think you can do better, go ahead, knock your socks off. Then a few months later, one of our officers went off to a district conference and said, you should see this thing that Dave Carr has. You should all try this. And of course, at that point, it was just a hack for my own club's website. So I had to figure out how do I share this with the rest of the world? And that's where Toastmost came about. So there's a separate site called the WordPress for Toastmasters project that has a lot of the technical documentation. And if you're techier, you can actually download the software, load it up onto an independent web server, and set it up that way. But for most Toastmasters officers who just want a better way to market their club website, a more effective club website, Toastmost provides a way that you can come in and just sign up, get a website, and then make it better over time. So I'm going to walk you through some demo stuff. I have a video recording at the beginning that I'm just going to narrate as it goes. It just keeps things moving a little bit faster than if I was fumbling with a live demo. But we're going to have live demo at times. We're going to have things that will not go right. There's at least one thing that I planned for. There's an error that I built in intentionally just to show you what happens when there's an error and how to fix it. But there may be actual errors that occur over time. There will be time for you to ask your questions, give your feedback. If you're already using one of these sites and have frustrations, you'll have an opportunity to ask me how to get over that hurdle. So that's what I'm here for. Actually, Andy Byrne, can I ask you to be my chat monitor for this so that as we go along, you're welcome to, without necessarily interrupting me, to put questions in the chat, and I'll ask Andy to help relay some of those questions to me. But also, if I'm getting like really confusing, I'm getting too fancy, I'm getting too techy, I'm going too fast, you can unmute and just shout at me. Okay, so keep me in line and give me feedback along the way so that I know whether any of this is as effective as it is supposed to be.
David?
Yes.
Quick question, just one quick question. How long is this presentation planned to last?
I'm planning to go to about 3. And if people still have questions, I might go a little bit longer, but again, there'll be a replay.
Okay, what time? The length of time, because I'm in a different time zone. How many?
Sorry. So I'm planning to go to the top of the next hour.
Okay.
And
thank you.
Again, might go a little bit longer if there are lots of questions. If not, you can follow up with me by email. You can follow up with me other ways to get your questions answered. It would be the idea. Okay, so this is the can portion of the presentation. So this is just a scenario here of how ideally I want things to work. I want to have my website SEO optimized for the search engine, so that if anybody enters the word Toastmasters and the name of my city, where my home club is, they're going to find us. We're going to be near the top of the list. Also, even if I do a more general phrase like Toastmasters near me, I'm going to find that club on the first page of listings, under the Find a Club widget from Toastmasters International. Also, because some people might even not know what Toastmasters is, I want to go out on social media And so I can optimize the website so that it shares nicely. We get a nice preview image when we share the link on social media. Either way, I want people to come into my website and I want them to be impressed because I have lots of information here. I have information about workshops we've held in the past. You can see that there's some great people in the club. And so you want to visit as a guest, ideally. And so we're going to come in and fill out the form. And this form can be customized so you can ask whatever questions you want to ask. We're a hybrid club, so you can join by Zoom, but we do want to know if you're local, if we might be able to get you to come in person at least some of the time. When you register as a guest, you're going to get a confirmation message, and this one gives both directions to our in-person meeting location and to our Zoom link. Ideally, you come to the club, everybody does everything else right. And so now you want to join. So this was recorded at the end of August. So when I choose what month I want to join, it's at the end of August. I don't really want to join for the month of August, but why don't I join as of September 1st? So I'll make that change as I'm in the process of registering. I'll click the next page. And actually, I'm going to switch over to my demo site to actually fill out the form. But it is a web-based form. We don't have to email PDFs back and forth with people and ask them to scan in their answer or take a picture of the form and send it to us. That's pretty awkward. So this is a legal Toastmasters form. I know this because I've had to go back and forth with Toastmasters International about making sure that they would accept it. And you can type your signature. A typed signature is considered an electronic signature. At least a basic electronic signature. So the person has to type in their name and fill out the form. And as soon as they do, we pop up a prompt for them to pay online. So you can either use PayPal or there's a credit card processing service called Stripe that's also supported. Either way, you go through the process, you pay your money, and the VP of membership will get a notification by email that a pending application is in the system with a prompt to click through and pay and approve that member. Or I can go to that dashboard and I see that they've already paid their $50 via PayPal. I verify that everything looks good. And, if I need to vote people in, I might have a process for that. But as soon as I'm ready to approve them, I can again, digitally sign as VP of membership, maybe add a note to keep track of that record a little bit. And then as soon as I've saved this as an approved membership application, I get a prompt to add this person to our system. So we want them to be able to come in and sign up for forums, customize their profile, maybe advertise themselves a little bit on our membership page by saying what their business is and how you can connect with them. And they're going to get an email message that says, welcome to club name. Here it's Toastmasters demo. So the email message includes the same information we saw echoed out on the screen, tells them where they can come in to set their password. And so this is how they're going to get on board as a member of our club. And so then once they're a member, they can come in and go to our digital interactive agenda and come in and take a role and get prompted to choose their path, their project, put in a title, and put in some details for the Toastmaster of the day to introduce themselves. And this is something that sometimes we have an issue with people sign up, but they won't put in any details. They could come back and do it later, but they don't. But ideally, they're going to give us the details so that we know what their path and project is and so forth. And if we go out and look at what the printable version of this looks like, by default, it would look something like this. And then I've tried to set this up so that it will print on one page, depending on how many roles you have and how many details, maybe it rolls over to 2. And then in my ideal world, this person goes into club leadership. They know that when they start their new club, that they want to make sure to set it up in Toastmasters, so they can take that same password they use for their club, they can log in and they can fill out this form. And if they don't already have a membership, there's a way for them to basically register as part of the process of filling out the form, and they'll get a link mailed to them to set their password once again. So to set up a new site, what we do is we go in and we put in our details about where and when we meet. We can choose from one of these starting designs, and after we set up our site, we can customize it further. So we're going to submit this. It will come back after a few minutes and tell us that it's working on it, that it's setting up our default templates. It does take a few seconds to get everything ready. And it's going to come back and in a moment with the information about how we can log in and start customizing our website. I will tell you that it seems like the first time you access the website, it takes a few minutes to load. It might not be instant. And again, I've recorded this to edit out all the delays, but you should be able to click on visit August's toastmasters.org and go to that website. And it's going to give you a prompt to visit the club website wizard. So it picked up a little bit of information from the application form, but most of the homepage content right now is completely boilerplate. And so what you're going to do is go into that setup wizard, and I'm actually going to show you this process of importing from FreeToast. And actually, I should have done this at the very beginning, but let me ask before I screen share again. But who here already is working with the Toastmasters.org website? Who here has a free Toast website that they would be considering converting over? Okay, so so if you're starting from a blank sheet of paper, you're going to start with that website setup wizard, and it's going to walk you through. I compare it to sort of how TurboTax tries to ask you all these questions about how your life is organized, what your employer is, um, any tax complications, and it sets up your IRS return. We're trying to set up your agenda by walking through that same sort of process. As a simple way of getting started, we have a setup wizard. But the alternate setup wizard is this version for importing a FreeToast host site. And I just finished working on it this morning. So this is going to be exciting. The last time I tried it, it worked very nicely, but we'll see how it goes here. Let's see. Oh, okay. And he's letting me know that he is actually attending another meeting at the same time and recording this. So actually, Aleda, could I ask you to be my chat monitor, just to watch for questions in the chat and interrupt me if appropriate, or we can come back to it later. But I guess I shouldn't have.
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Can you
Alita. Okay,
just
my
keep...
name. You're mispronouncing my name, so I almost
All
missed it. It's Alita.
Alita.
Alita. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. You want me to monitor the chats?
Yeah, just to keep an eye on it if we don't have a huge group. Actually, maybe you should folks could not worry about the chat. Just go ahead and unmute and ask your question if you have a question, because we have a small group. All right. Okay, back to screen share. So this is actually one of Dr. Andy Burns' websites, is carlwoodtoastmasters.org. And I'm going to copy that URL or that web address. And this is a demo site that I set up just a few minutes before the call. And again, if we scroll down, we can see that it has the register as a guest widget up top. And it also has some content down here that says, hello, webmaster, visit the club setup wizard. Or if you're coming in from Free Toast Host, try the new Free Toast Host import tool. So this is where I'm going to paste this in here. And we're going to see if we can create a home page that looks similar to this. Now, it's not going to be exactly the same. So this has a number of things set up in tables, because that's the default way that Free Toast Toast gives you to do any kind of layout or formatting. A lot of that's going to get stripped away, and you're going to have to reformat it according to the way WordPress works. But we're going to go through it anyway. And so there are choices here. If you already had a club website on Toastmost, even if you hadn't made it live yet, if you'd started working on customizing the homepage, you might want to just save this as a draft. But we're going to actually import the content from that existing homepage, and we're going to make it the new default homepage here. And we're also going to import any custom pages we have on the site. So, for example, Early Birds has a number of pages built out that are from workshops that have been conducted in the past, that are tutorials on different things. They have a lot of good content there, and we don't necessarily want to throw that away. So that's going to be imported to along the way. So I'm going to click here and see how well this works.
David, will it also import the links to the social media that's on the current website?
It depends on where it occurs. Well, yeah, here we go. Our YouTube channel, click here. Instagram, this isn't formatted as a link. Facebook, click here. WhatsApp. As I said, this was originally in a table, and we would have to do some reformatting, cleaning up. So it's not going to be perfect. It is importing the directions page, and this is just saved as a draft right now. And we can either make it a blog post on our website, or this would probably be more appropriate to make a page. For Meet Our Members, it just imports the images. And so we would be able to see, if we looked at our media library, our WordPress media library, that we have a bunch of images that have been imported from the old site that we can use. And the dues schedule was set up as an image. That's been brought in, and this little video has been brought in. And so you would need to go through and kind of decide which of these things are basically the distinction between a blog post and a web page. Is a blog post is an article. So it might be a recap of a special workshop that you held, and a couple of years from now, that's going to be out of date. So you might want to make that a blog post. Whereas a page is something that is sort of more of a permanent part of your website. You're going to add it to your menu. And so we're going to go through the process of cleaning up some of this content to see how it would work on the site. And so let's open up the home page, and there's visit as a guest. And the RSVP now button is set up in the system. So we can go through and if we wanted to reformat this image, for example, there are controls here that would allow me to square that off, or to make it portrait, or just to use the original proportions. We can make it a tiny thumbnail. Let's see. And then if we wanted to reformat some of this stuff, in WordPress, you don't really use tables unless it's a table of data, more like a spreadsheet. But I could have a couple of columns. So there is one of the main things I wanted to give you some basic WordPress education on is the idea that in this editor, every different kind of content has its own formatting controls. And so when I click on a paragraph, I see controls in the right-hand sidebar for a paragraph. When I click on a heading, I see controls for a heading. I can also choose whether this should be a heading 2 or a heading 3, which would be a little bit smaller. So we have formatting controls that are specific to different types of content blocks. If I just click on a blank line, I can choose what kind of content block I would like to add. And so there's this little plus sign here. I have this little magnifier to try and help make this easier to see. So if I click on the plus sign, it says, what kind of content do you want to add? Is it just a paragraph? Is it a heading? Is it an image? Is it an image gallery? There are lots of different little formats that are available. An image is one of the most common things I might want to use. And I can either upload an image or I can choose from that media library. So if I wanted to have my dues displayed right on the home page, let's see, I'm going to zoom out again. I would choose that image and click select, and that would be added here. And again, I could format it further if I needed to. And I was starting to explain that for a layout, what we typically would use is a block called the columns block. And again, I can either click at the end of the line, or I can click up top here where it says there's another option for adding a block. And I can say columns, and I can choose 2 columns or 3 columns. And there are tables, but they're really meant for, again, more tabular data. You don't really format tables to have images and whole paragraphs in them. But I can choose whether I want two columns or 3. And so if I wanted to sort of recreate the little table that had information on one side and link on the other, I could come in here and paste this here and then find the other section. And have the link on the other part. Let's see. Wait a minute. I screwed something up. But at any rate, if we wanted to have something in columns, that's how we can format it. It does get a little bit complex to try and see what you're doing sometimes, where you have these formatting objects that have invisible boundaries, basically. A way to see those boundaries is, again, I'll use my little magnifier here. If I go into the upper left corner, there is a widget called the outline view that allows me to see that I have a columns block, and inside the left column I have some content, inside the right column I have some content, and I can move elements around. So if I wanted to take this image and put it down here, I can actually do that within the outline view on the side. And that may be easier than trying to drag and drop within the page. Also, I have this whole guest registration widget here. There's more elements inside that, but if I just wanted to move the whole thing, maybe it by default appeared too high up on the page. I can move that down a little bit farther so that I have some paragraphs before I get to the registration widget. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back to the importer, and there's one other thing that I want to try with the importer. So Dr. Byrne was nice enough to share his admin credentials here so that if I want to bring in my agendas, what I'm going to do is I launch the administration column, the administration console, and I go into meeting agenda settings, and I'm going to choose the agenda that I want to import. So this would typically be whatever is the default agenda that we use. It's how we organize our typical meeting. And I'm going to do Control A on Windows, or it would be Command A on a Mac to highlight everything on the page, and do Control C or Command C to copy that content. And in the FreeToast importer, I can switch between importing the web page content to importing my agenda content. And I'm going to paste that whole mass of stuff. It's going to look kind of sloppy, but I'm going to paste it all in here. And the tool is going to pull out just great. The tool is going to pull out just the agenda content. Okay. All right. So that would, if you caught that, my security program was popping up and saying, I don't know, this program is messing with the content of your website. Are you sure you want to let it do that? And so I had to click OK. Yes, I'm sure. So what it has done is it's parsed out things that look like either notes, like theme and word of the day is something that changes from meeting to meeting. So I'm going to call that what I call an editable note. Sergeant of Arms is a role that can be assigned, but I guess this is just stage direction. Sergeant of Arms opens the meeting. Toastmaster is a role that can be assigned, so that's tagged as a meeting role. So we can go through and see if these things seem to have classified correctly. And if they have, what I'm going to do is go in and submit this. And this should become my new default agenda. Now, it is possible to set up some alternate agendas as well, but we'll just worry about the default version right now. And so if I went out to view this, we should see an organization that is pretty similar to how that club, I guess this was a contest agenda that I imported, how that club organizes its contests. Let me see if this is actually correct. And if I go into the editor here, well, I think the content, I think something did go a little bit screwy there. We have theme in the word of the day up top as an editable note. Okay, so that's what I expected. And then we have these other elements in here. And we're in the template version right now, but all the individual events that were based on that template should also have been updated. So I should be able to go out and look at future meeting. Let's see. Okay. So here's Tuesday, September 2nd. I can edit this to say that our theme will be fun with WordPress. And our word of the day would be snafu. We'll update that. And then we have some other things that we can go through. If there were lots of people for things to be assigned to, we would have our whole club membership listed here. That is a separate step is setting up accounts for your members on the site. But we have a decent starting point here. We might have some things that got a little bit garbled in the import process. And so we may have to go back and clean some things up, but it's meant to give you a quick start on working with your website. So I'm going to drop out of screen sharing for a moment and take a moment to ask for questions so far. If not, I will steam ahead. All right. A few more
Hi,
things.
David. I have one question.
Sure.
So this process is for importing from FreeToast, right?
Right.
So is it the same process for creating a one from scratch here?
So if it was, say, a new club, or maybe your Free Toast site just was never that great, and you just want to start over from a clean sheet of paper, then there is a process for getting started there too. So maybe let me go back and go over that.
Thank you.
So let's see. All right, let's see how this is working here. So when I came to the new website, there was a link to the setup wizard, but you can also come through the menus. You go under Toastmasters administration, and there's Free Toast Importer, but there's also setup wizard. And so I go back to the beginning of this. This is where you would typically start. And this is what I was saying is sort of like TurboTax trying to ask you about what should go on your tax return. So the process is you set up welcome and introductions, time allowed for that, about 5 minutes. Toastmaster of the day introduces other role players. You can put in the list of what other supporting roles you have. So several of my clubs have a body language monitor, but your club might not do that or might not want to do that. So I can take that out. I can adjust the timing. I can decide, do I want to have my theme or word of the day on the agenda? Do I want to include the member absences widget, which is something where people can let you know that they're going to be out of town for a few weeks, so don't bug them about taking a role. So there are these questions that you go through and answer. Do we invite guests to register online or not? And so we go through and click to submit that. And it should, again, it's going to create or update our default meeting agenda, and it's going to update all the events based on that agenda. And then on this second screen, it does give us a prompt if we want to invite in a couple of other officers to test the website. We can put in names and addresses here, and it will create accounts for them if they don't already have an account, or it will assign them to this website if they already have a Toastmost account registered under the same email. And so actually I'll check this box here that said add test users. That'll just give me some test users to play around with. So it'll say those options are saved, and then here it gives me some prompts to, here's where you get started editing your home page. Here's where you view the Sentinel sign up page and how you can start customizing it. I try and give jumping off points to the documentation. Now the documentation could use help. I could use some volunteers, so there's not just me creating documentation for the website. So anybody here or anybody who's watching the replay would like to help with documentation or tutorial videos, I would very much like to talk with you about doing that. But I've tried to create, and actually I didn't show it, but on the WordPress for Toastmasters site, there is a whole video course that goes over most of what I'm covering today. It doesn't cover the free toast import tool because that is something that is brand new. But most of the basics are covered in this course, so you can go back and watch that at your own pace. There is also a bunch of written documentation in here. And so some things are documented, some things are not documented as well as they should be. Some things are, maybe you're only going to get them from listening to me right now. So the setup wizard tries to walk you through that whole process. If we didn't import content from a free toast site, then we would go in here and then we would just start working with the default content and updating it however we might want to do so. And we would edit the site as I started showing you before. If you when you first created the site, you chose a design, and so this one is set up to have this dramatic image up top. If I wanted to change that image, I would go in and there's a widget right here that says, let's see, is that where it's set here? It looks like I'm wrong. I think so. I guess this is set. If I go in and edit the design here, so there's actually two links. There's one to edit the content and one to edit the design. I can come in here and I am going to navigate to find this cover block. So the cover block is the way of displaying a dramatic image up top. I'm going to upload a different image. And so I'm going to go to my website. Just going to go over here. Maybe this is a library website, so we're going to have a bunch of books up top of the page, and we can see how that would look. So that's how that would look loaded in as the background image for the header of the page. There are lots of other customizations that you can make. And if we wanted to add an additional page to the menu, we would come in here to add that. Let's say there's something else I wanted to cover here. So this is where you can edit your menu. You click on the menu up top. You can edit the individual links that appear on the menu, or you can click to add an additional page. So if we're going to add a page that exists on the site already, well, there's only a few pages, but if we just wanted to add our members page again at the end, we could add that there. We can move things around and we can customize that however we want it to be. If we want to add a sub menu under that, let's see, where do I do that? Let's see. Custom link. Go to this little three dots here. Okay, I'm going to add a submenu link. And we're just going to make that a link to the welcome page. And so, now we can see that our menu has been changed. Let's see. So I save that and I go out and view the site. And now we have this library shelf as our featured image up top. So one thing that actually is a little bit confusing, I should take a moment to explain, is I fairly regularly will click on edit site when what I want is edit page. Now you'll only see this edit site option if you were logged in as the administrator. You could make somebody else an editor of the site and they would be able to edit pages and edit blog posts, but they wouldn't get the edit site option. So edit site is for changing the design, edit page or edit post or edit event is where you're going to click to edit the individual piece of content. And then also there's new. So if we just want to add a new page, we can add and actually it's going to give me, it sort of volunteers to give me these fancy layouts that I can use. So I could take advantage of one of these, or I could clear out of it to just start with a blank page. So if I think this looks nice, I could use this as a template, and then I could come in and change this image to be something different. So I'm just going to replace it with that library shelf image that we imported earlier. So this is just a way of giving you some templated copy that you can start with. So now here we have this on our website. If I want to create a new page and not take advantage of any of that fancy template stuff, I can click past that. And then I would just start adding whatever content that I want to add. And this little widget down the bottom of the page might or might not be displayed. It can be toggled open or closed. But Yoast SEO is to help you with the search engine optimization of your website. And so it gives you the option to customize the slug or the address for a particular piece of content. It gives you the option to customize the SEO display. So when I showed you the homepage of my website comes up with a nice clear image, it's because we had come into this social options section here and set the image. You can set a different one for Facebook and LinkedIn and one for Twitter. They can be different or they can be the same. And SEO is where we would try and customize the little snippet of content that appears when somebody sees your listing on Google. So demo 2 is not a very descriptive thing, but we could make this I think if maybe I have to save this first. Oh, I'm sorry, I put that in the wrong spot. I could make this. I could make it like that. So there are a lot of things that you can customize as you go through the process of trying to make sure that your site is really well suited to being found on search. And we go out and view this. And this, again, when you add, if you add a blog post, then it's just going to appear in the blogs section of the website. And so sometimes that's the easier thing to do. Again, if it's a workshop replay or if it's in memoriam of a former member, something like that, you might want to make that an article on the site. And that whatever the newest thing is always going to be displayed at the top of the list. But all the other stuff is still going to be findable in your site. And part of the way you boost your search engine ranking actually is by having a rich site that has lots of interesting content on it. So try and talk to your members who have expertise in different things about creating a blog post for the website. Sometimes it's like pushing tools. Sometimes it's like pulling teeth to get people to take that action, but you can give them this opportunity to showcase their expertise on the site. And actually, something I should show you that's really cool is that if you publish anything to YouTube, it is really easy to just grab the link to that YouTube item and you can add it to any page of your site. So you just paste it in and it automatically, I just pasted in the link and it automatically added the YouTube player code. And if I was to publish this, we see we have the video here. So, video I think is a natural, particularly if you're doing some or all of your meetings on Zoom and you can record something. Being able to share a video of a great speech is a wonderful way of showing people, not just telling them the Toastmasters is wonderful, but allowing them to see the strong speaker giving their speech. And I believe on Free Toast Toast, you would have to go through a little bit more involved process of getting a snippet of HTML code and going into the HTML mode of the the Free Toast Toast editor to add it to a page. Here it's just copy and paste. And so there are a lot of virtues that you get out of working with a WordPress website. Also, if I were to squeeze this down to just a narrow, this is more or less what people would see if they looked at the website on a phone, is everything reformats to fit in that space. Some of it might be a little bit squeezed, but it's all readable. Whereas I definitely have seen Free Toast Toast sites that have squished images because people don't know how to resize images, or if you're trying to view it on a phone, everything extends off the edge of the visible area. And so there are a lot of complications that can come up there. And it's not that you don't have to pay any attention to those issues, but a lot of it just automatically works when you're working with a WordPress site. A lot of how WordPress structures content is very SEO friendly, as in search engine optimization friendly, because there are so many WordPress sites out there that Google and other search engines know how to index them really well. And so they tend to rank high, and you can improve on that ranking by paying some attention to your website. The other thing I wanted to make sure that I covered, and again, I can stop at any time if you have other questions, but I wanted to cover how you collect payment for something on these sites. So you saw it in the demo of the application form where a PayPal widget popped up at the end asking people to pay. You can do that for dues renewal. If you were organizing a district conference, you could have people pay for the conference on the website. And so I have support for both PayPal and a credit card processing system called Stripe. And the process for both is basically the same. There's some kind of dashboard that you need to log into. So for PayPal, you go to developer.paypal.com. And even if you're not a developer, you're going in and you log in with your PayPal credentials. You go to this section that says apps and credentials, and the button says create app. And really, you're just creating a connection between your website and the PayPal service. Now, one important thing to pay attention to here is this tool has two modes. And again, Stripe is the same way. There is a sandbox mode or a test mode, and there is a live mode. If you want to collect real money, you need to be in the live mode. And what you're going to do is you're going to create an app. I'm sorry, just a moment. All right, let's try this again. Oh, let's log in again. All right. They're trying to make sure that I am me. All right. Create an app. And you can call this whatever you want. And I will create this. Oh dear. Not enough when my software screws up, but their software has to screw up too today. Okay, Toastmasters 2. So this is going to appear on that list of all the different apps. And what we want to do is we want to copy what's called the client ID, which is this long string of numbers. And there's a button I can click on to copy all that text. And I have to go into the payment section of the settings for RSVP Maker. So RSVP Maker is the program that we use for taking registrations and collecting payment. It's used for some other things like email newsletters as well. And it's something that I created, so I'm pretty proud of it. So I'll copy the client ID, and then there's also something called the secret. And the terminology is slightly different for Stripe, but it's the same basic concept. So I'm going to paste this long string of gobbledygook in here. And there's some other customization options, but I'm going to say that I want this to be the production version so that it will collect real money. And I will click save. And it's going to save that content to the website. And now I can collect money on it. So there's a, let's see, under Toastmasters TM application form, there's a section where you can set up the dues schedule for your site. So depending on what month somebody joins, this is the Toastmasters International portion, and here's the additional amount that we collect as a club. You can set the renewal fee for your site to be whatever you want, and you'll create a page on your site where that renewal button can be advertised. So I do try and walk you through some of it. You could also, if you wanted to collect money for some arbitrary purpose, so maybe we have a collection we're taking up for, let's see, again, I'm going to click past all this, but gift for former president. And we want everybody to give $50. So I can type in PayPal, and there is a PayPal charge widget. There's also a Stripe charge widget. And I can say gift for president. One-time fixed fee. Maybe I shouldn't be giving people ideas. You're all going to be out there asking for gifts for the president, but so I'll put in the amount and save this. If I go out and view the page, I should have a widget here that will allow me to click and pay. All right, well, it's giving me an error because I am the seller as well as the buyer, and PayPal doesn't like that. They think I'm going in circles, and they're right. But normally, if it was somebody else's credentials, it would take me through the process of paying them. I wasn't going to pay myself money anyway, but all right. I think that is maybe everything that I had on my list of stuff to make sure that I covered. So I hope you found some of this interesting. But for a wrap up, we're just going to go to questions. Actually, we have gone the full hour and a little bit more. We started a few minutes late. But any questions before I sign off for today?
Yeah, I just had a question about how members, if they want to sign up for the table topics or for the next speech, can you demonstrate real quickly how they can go in and sign up and the pathways? Is it attached to pathways and all the levels and the
Yeah, well,
paths and levels?
attached to sort of implies a level of cooperation from Toastmasters International that I haven't necessarily received.
Okay.
I have gotten as far as getting them to approve the colors that were used in the templates. And there is some place on Toastmasters International where they tell you that this software does exist. And so even people creating district websites or independent websites have nothing to do with me, could actually get those themes and use them, those designs. But let's go over the role sign up process. So there's a few ways we can get to it, either through the front end of the site, or I can log in as a member, and there are options here. And the first one is to sign myself up, and I can also edit. So edit is like where I'm the Toastmaster of the day, and somebody has not signed themselves up, but they gave me a phone call, they sent me an email, smoke signals, whatever it is. They've let me know that I can sign them up for a role, and so I can go in and sign other people up for roles. But if I'm signing myself up, I just go and click on the button, and it will sign me up as David. So that's for a basic role. If I'm signing up for a speaker role, then we do have prompts to pick the path, the level, the project, and the default times are programmed in here. But we could customize this. Maybe this is a long-time member. They're going to give an icebreaker, but it's going to be a 10-minute icebreaker. And so we could change this to be something else. But all about me. And the details for the Toastmaster is, well, I want you to introduce me. Always so fascinating to watch somebody type, right? But so I click save, and that will be updated on the site. If I go and look at the printable version, I will see that David is on here and is signed up to do an icebreaker called All About Me for 4 to 6 minutes. There is another view where you can see all the introduction stuff, and that's supposed to be emailed to the Toastmaster of the day, if the Toastmaster of the day has been signed up by that point. Another thing that we use a lot is this email version of the agenda. And so I've customized the template here, where I don't know if it looks that great, but the idea here is I can email off the whole agenda, and it will come out, and you'll be able to see where roles are open, and everybody will get these links to click to sign up. Maybe I just to give you a slightly neater version, I'm going to go over to online presenters, which is a club I started or led to charter a few years ago. If I look at the email version of the agenda here, we do have some customization where we have this blue background, but it's a little bit more readable. And so this will get emailed off. I can send it to all members, or I can send it to members, just the members who don't have a role yet. So that might be useful if you're nagging people to sign up. You don't necessarily want to bug the people who are already signed up. I can send a test to this address. And so I should get an email message. There it is. So online presenters Toastmasters for this date. And I can scroll down to here and see if I have a role yet. I think I'm actually being bad. I'm not signed up for a role yet. And so I can click to sign up to be an evaluator. And part of the idea here is people don't necessarily have to log in with their password. You have people who are constantly forgetting their password. We can just see that yes, let's sign you up to be an evaluator. I click to take role, and I should be added to the agenda. So view agenda. And okay. So now I've made an honest man out of myself. I am signed up for the next meeting. Does that cover it fairly well? Okay. All right. There are definitely lots of little differences where, I've taken a different approach than the people who designed Free Toast Host did. I like to think that in a lot of cases we've reimagined things and we've made them better, particularly for this idea of allowing people to do as much as possible online. And so that's what I've been working on. I've actually been working on it for a long time. And so if you're talking to other people, even if you don't take advantage of it yourself, say something nice about Toastmasters and tell them to come and check this out. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate having an audience today. And actually, does anybody have feedback on the importer tool for the Free Toast Host content specifically? If you think of something after we get off here, send me an email and let me know things that could be improved. And if you try it out and something doesn't work the way I said it would, let me know. And I will try and make it work at least that well, if not better.